So, no real surprises that Naoya, Inoue, the monster, dispatched off Michael Dasmariñas in pretty quick fashion. I thought it was going to be in the first half of the fight. It was body shots. It's not the kind of performance that will set the world on light, because he basically did what we thought he was going to do. But it goes deeper than that. And more interesting recently was what Eddie Hearn said about the Japanese superstar regarding his potential superstardom, being a genuine global superstar. And he basically said Naoya Inoue won't become a global star. And the thing that was most interesting that he pointed out as to why was that he said he was in a weight division that doesn't really warrant it. And there is some truth to this. Bantamweight is one of the original 8 weight divisions in boxing. It's got a lot of pedigree. It's got a lot of history. But from personal experience, I would say that probably the lowest division, which is still on the outskirts of public, like potential public interest, is probably featherweight. Inoue would have to go up another 2 weights if he was to get on the outskirts of penetrating into the public conscience in the boxing world. Now, over here in the UK, we had Naseem Hamed. He started at Bantam or Super Bantam. He worked his way up. He was, of course, a huge puncher, but he was such a showman as well. It doesn't help that Inoue is such a reserved, gentleman-like kind of character. It may be how a lot of Japanese carry themselves. But in this day and age, it's almost not enough that you're just an incredible puncher. And I prefer watching Inoue to Naseem Hamed. Hamed made all kinds of technical mistakes, left his chin in the air. Yeah, he moved in a way that was easy to appreciate. And of course, he had so much showmanship that he had this repertoire always going on with the British audience that they loved. We lapped it up. You either loved him or you hated him. But hating is good as well because it invokes emotion. It will make you pay to see if he loses. Inoue doesn't have that when he blasts people out. It's just, yes, I'll answer the questions. I'm quite reserved. And when you are in a lower weight division, I guess you're kind of missing an opportunity to try and push your profile a bit higher. Featherweight, again, it seems like the lowest weight to me where you can try, just your average guy cares. I notice on boxing forums, people still ask stuff like, what's going on with Gary Russell Jr., the guy who fights, once a year, lost to Lomachenko. Again, Vasily Lomachenko turned pro at featherweight. So many incredible, big, probably, household names, Marquez, Pacquiao, Barrera, of course, who beat Naseem. This all happened at featherweight. There's a lot of glitz to the 126-pound division when you're talking the real top guys. I remember when I first learned of the first fight between Barrera and Morales, an unbelievable fight. The fact it was at Super Bantam just felt like it was slightly out of the public eye. Of course, not even that many people showed up to that fight. It was like in hundreds, the attendance to that unbelievable fight. It was the fact the fight was so good that when they did move up to featherweight and there was a bit more history, that's when people tuned in. But when you do go below featherweight, I think there is this subconscious bias where your average fan starts going, oh, Super Bantam. There is this human instinct where you start feeling quite dismissive. Lomachenko isn't a big guy, but he's big enough that most people don't think, oh, I could swat him to one side. When you've got someone like Naoya Inoue, who's 5'5", quite slim, I just think a lot of casual audience kind of guys think, he's like a kid. I can't get into that. I'd beat him up. I mean, they'd very probably be wrong there. They would get battered by him. But that's the interpretation. That's what Eddie Hearn's getting at there when he said he's not at a weight division that really warrants it. Bantamweight, people probably don't take as seriously, sadly. Now, Inoue may be able to go up to 122, then to 126, and still be devastating. It'll probably take a little bit away from his power at 126. But again, You've just got certain names that seem to be a bit more relevant in people who know their boxing. Again, they say Gary Russell Jr. They go, oh, is Josh Warrington going to avenge against Mauricio Lara? People don't ask as much like what's going on with Luis Neri lower down. It doesn't really happen as often. You just become aware of this. So, yeah, featherweight for me might be the cut-off point for having that potential of just being truly relevant. Inoue is a standout. He's an incredible talent. But the fact he's got a reserved personality as well, going forward, even if he goes up to 1-2-2, it's going to be hard for him to achieve the kind of profile that his talent truly deserves. I think he's got the ability to easily leapfrog Canelo and become the true pound-for-pound number one. If he'd had his fight and unification against Casemiro when he was supposed to, had COVID not happened, had he jumped up to 1-2-2, got rid of Neri before Figueroa, was it? Got rid of him recently. Boom! He could easily be pound-for-pound number one right now. But had he done that, would he still have been as big as he deserved to be? No. And it probably would have been because he's at bantamweight. So it is a bit of a shame, but it is how it works. It's human nature. Unless Inoue had some kind of real big gimmick beyond the monster, unless he became this insane personality, it's very unlikely that at 118 pounds, he's going to suddenly get all this attention. The true boxing fans will really appreciate him. And even certain casual fans will look at him and go, man, he can punch. But it will be coming from that place of, oh yeah, he's a powerful little guy. But the lasting sentiment is, little guy, you're not quite big enough for me to really start sitting down and paying attention. Inoue may go up to featherweight, and he may have some success there. But because it's in his near future interest to unify at 118 pounds first, it's not going to be happening anytime soon.